So this one move will not only help you increase yardage with your irons, but also help me personally increase the consistency of my ball striking and reduce my miss as well. And you'll actually be surprised how simple it is. So although this move is somewhat simple, there are two things that you really need to be aware of that if you naturally currently do in your swing, you will really struggle to implement this move. Now I'm going to go over those two things at the end of the video. Now when we take a look at some of the best and most consistent ball strikers in the world, and when you would see some of the best players at your club, the motion of the swing almost just looks simple, it looks effortless, and it looks like there's not too much going on in the swing. And there's a reason for that, because simplicity and lack of moving parts breeds consistency. A lot of amateurs, a lot of higher handicappers, there's a lot of movement going on. There's either a lot of swaying or a lot of tilting, a lot of head movement. There's just everything's kind of moving a little bit all over the shop. And that again just breeds inconsistency. So if I were to focus on just my hands alone, and all I'm going to do is push out, drop them down into my right pocket, and then allow them to overtake my chest through impact. Literally not focus on body rotation, not focusing on hip rotation, not focus on absolutely anything apart from there, there, there. Hands, hands, hands. So out, down, through. Absolutely nothing else, right? Actually struck it really well and it's gone dead straight. My point with that little demonstration is I believe too many amateurs get way too mixed up or kind of involved in ideas around sort of rotation, body rotation, hip rotation. That creates a lot of slides and a lot of tilts and just too many moving parts. Whereas this move that's commonly referred to as kind of covering the ball, we'll touch on this more as we go through. I've seen a lot of videos of people touching on this content, but I'm going to try and simplify it even more so it's easy for you to actually put in practice and help you improve your game. So let's touch briefly on my golf swing and my journey and why I feel like this move has helped me personally so much. I've always been a slider, always been someone who from the top, my hips just kind of, they just want to go. My hips just want to slide. My hips go that way, my head goes that way, creates contact issues. It creates face control issues where we can either kind of leave it open and block it, or I can flip it as well. Kind of, it just creates no stability, not staying over the ball, no kind of turn and rotation on top of the ball. It's just horrible, really. So this one move, and Justin Rose actually touched on it a little while ago. I believe it was at the Masters, I think. And all he was saying was the first move that he feels from the top is that, almost just the hands lowering. Just trying to get him almost back to parallel into a nice position where from here, if I'm at the top of my backswing and I lower my hands, from here, it's almost just a straight turn through, down, turn, and it's literally that simple. But getting the hands down allows us to turn. So many amateurs start to do things way too early, like myself. Hips kind of tend to slide. They're trying to rotate their hips, but a lot of you will just end up sliding. Terrible. Or a lot of people try and turn too early. The right shoulder gets thrown out, and that steepens the shaft. And when the shaft gets steep, well, I can't turn from here because I'm going to miss the ball. So you literally end up having to go, oh, oh, and that's why we stand up. And therefore, not covering the ball at all, just standing up, creating all kinds of contact issues, face issues, all sorts of things. So what do we actually mean when we say covering the ball? What do I visualize? What should you visualize when we're over the ball? Very simple. My sternum is just pointing down at the ball. My chest is pointing down at the ball. My chest is covering the ball. Now, when we do any bad habits, if I tend to slide, my hips slide, my chest is now pointing kind of up and over there somewhere, and that's terrible. Or if you're someone who tends to get that shaft a little bit steep and therefore stand up, again, now my chest is pointing up and out in front of me. Both bad. I'm trying to visualize my chest staying over the ball at all times, even in my backswing, even in the downswing, through impact. It's obviously not going to do that, but the idea for me, or the feeling for me, so as I take it back and up, yes, I know my chest is out here, but I'm almost trying to feel like I'm staying over the ball. I'm here. as my hands come down, I'm feeling like my chest, if anything, is behind the ball, over, still pointing down. As we then turn into impact, my hands are down in front of me. My chest is now probably starting to open slightly and is pointing a little bit that way, but I'm still trying to feel like my emphasis is over the ball, like I'm covering the ball. After that, then we're up and through. So no matter what stage we're at, my chest is feeling like I'm just over the top of the ball. So what are some good ideas or drills or feelings to help you implement this into your game and understand it a little bit better? It's going to depend on what sort of player you are, whether you're drill-based, feel-based, idea-based. So I'm going to run over a few little bits and bobs that might help, hopefully. Number one is the biggest thing that I see personally in here in the studio during fittings is angle of attack issues and just general contact issues, which generally stems, again, from going too early from the top before the hands have had time to come down, slide, chest points up, head points up, and just contact issues all over the shop. So a lot of that is not letting the hands come down before we start to turn and just going too early. But the head has a lot to do with it. If the head tilts, chest tilts, hip slide. So if we can almost help control the face angle, we can control that a little bit better. So if you're that sort of player and you do struggle with a lot of fat shots, that will also add loft and all sorts of bad things. So for that player, I personally like hitting some shots where we get the ball position further forward, maybe left heel, stack that weight a little bit on the left side, head over the ball, chest over the ball. Just have to get used to the idea that the hands are going to come down and through impact before we start to do anything crazy with the body or hips or anything like that. So you don't have to necessarily hit full shot, get that weight on the left side, get the head over the ball, feeling like my chest is staying down over the ball, hands, hands. So almost just feeling the hands come down and pass under your chest through impact without any sliding. So I just want you to feel like your nose is pointing at the ground all the time. Again, doesn't have to be a full shot. So if I go ball off my left heel, stack my weight into my left side, and then all I'm going to feel is hands down and through. I'm still here. Hands down, through. Chest's here, face here, head's here, weight's more on my left side because that's where I wanted it to be, that's where it's kept. It's almost this idea that we don't have to slide back to be able to make contact with the ball. I know it's weird, but this for me personally is something that I found a long time ago when I used to play, even off kind of 5, 6, 7, 8, that kind of standard. I always felt like I had to sort of do that to get to the ball. I don't know why, but if you trust the fact that we can stay centered over the ball, I can feel like my hands just come down here and then they just kind of whip underneath me around my hips almost. Like that concept, I don't know, for me personally, really helped that ball striking and that idea there, that drill there, where the head always stays down. The hands just come down here, my weight's into my left side, whipping through impact. We're going to get downward angle of attack. We're going to get more forward shaft lean. We're going to get more consistent strike. And even if you did that on course rather than just your full swing, if you're someone who has contact issues, that alone is probably going to help you score a little bit better. Hitting some shots where we feel almost like a bicep curl. I've heard people talk about this before. It's almost that move. Obviously, palms out, but it's just that move there. And what that's going to do is, again, if my palm is there, toes somewhat up in the air. Again, a lot of people will advocate having the face a little bit more with the spine angle. That's a little bit more complicated. It depends on your swing, your matchups, etc. For me personally, hands out there. If I almost do a bicep curl now, up, down, down. Obviously, I want to feel a bit of extension. I don't want my left arm collapsing, but up, down, up, down, up, down. That's kind of the motion and the movement that I'm trying to feel. So from my backswing, if I turn out, my toe is up. If I lift up, do that bicep curl at the top of the backswing, I'm going to bicep curl back down without moving anything at all. Up, down, down, up, down, turn. All right? Down, turn. So the idea or that motion that if you're someone who tends to get the hands that way at the top of the backswing, if anything, you probably want to feel like they're not coming straight down. You almost want to feel like they're coming down more behind you. So from the top, we're almost going down and back. That would be the feeling. Just get that feeling, pump it. Just get that feeling, look at where your hands are, look at what you're doing, pump, pump, get that feeling, and then just try and hit little 3/4, clippy shots with that feeling, getting the hands dropping down into this slot here and allowing them just to overtake your chest. So if you are someone that does kind of stand up through the swing, again, you video yourself from side on to see what you're like at impact. We are standing up, we're losing those shaft angles. The shaft's almost going to be sort of like neutral at impact. We might even be adding loft coming into impact, because as we stand up, the club has to go down in order to make up for this lost kind of space and make contact with the ball. A lot of coaches might advocate a split grip kind of drill, where, you know, if I'm going to go down to there, my right shoulder is now going down. So it's almost like we lift up the club, take my hand down there. Now the club is above the ball, and I'm feeling as my hands come down, my right shoulder's almost got to go down to make contact with the ball. So it's that feeling of hands are still coming down, right shoulder goes down and through the ball, almost pushes the left hip back and out the way a little bit. I don't personally love that feel. I don't personally love that drill. I don't feel like it would work for me personally. You can give it a go and see if that feel works if you are someone who does stand up. However, the root cause of this generally is the upper body getting too active from the top. The right shoulder goes that way, and that gets the shaft steep, and from there we then have to stand up to get the club coming back down to a position where we're actually going to be able to make contact with the ball. So we can get rid of that first move that causes the second bad move, then it should fix it, right? Which for me, this pump feeling, the Justin Rose feeling, the bicep curl feeling of getting the club just coming down so it's almost parallel to the ground, parallel to the target line. Toe for me is pointing up, and then from there, we're feeling like we're turning into the ball. That for me should help get rid of that straight away anyway, because if I do this and I try and stand up, the likelihood is you're going to miss the ball. So your body is just not going to let you do that. That's why I love the idea of getting the club down into a position that's, even if it's extreme, down behind you, maybe down here. Do you know what I mean? If you're someone who really gets it out and steep, feeling extreme, because the only way that you're going to be able to make contact with the ball from doing this is really rotate super hard, which is great. If we're in a position that the hands are down, then we do want to rotate into it. We do. But to people just start rotating way too early, and it just throws everything out of sync, which is not great. So that for me, that feel personally, that drill, that for me works a lot better. So at the beginning of the video, I referenced obviously two things that if you're doing naturally in your swing, you're going to struggle to make this happen. That was kind of the first one in terms of that right shoulder going out and the shaft getting steep. From there, we're obviously not going to be able to kind of get it down and turn through it. You're just not going to be able to do it. So that's number one. Number two would be the face just being way too open. So good checkpoints for that. A lot of people kind of roll it on the way back. Kind of the wrists tend to roll. The face tends to get up towards the sky. And then as we turn, the toe is like really, really hanging down. So if the toe is pointing at the ground at the top of your backswing, or maybe even more so, then that face is super, super open. And the reason that we're really going to struggle, if that's the case, we get the face really open on the way back. The top of the backswing, the face is really, really open. If I now do my bicep drill or my down drill, the face is so incredibly open that if I now turn, I mean, it's like you're in a flop shot. You're either going to shank it or it's just going to go over there. You can't do it. So checkpoints for that. Like I said, for me personally, I'm trying to feel like I just turn. I'm almost just turning away with my chest. I'm not even feeling like I'm doing that much with my hands. They are going out a little bit, but it's more I'm just trying to keep my chest in line with the club. If you're someone who generally tends to roll it and gets it very open, gets it very handsy, then if anything, you want to feel like as we're pulling it away, the toe is left of the hosel. So the face is pointing more down. Now on the way back, that's obviously quite important because it's going to give you a good starting point. However, on the way down, there's still a lot of people that might do that move and the face actually starts to open more on the downswing. And again, it's the same thing. Just look at shaft parallel. What is your face doing? What is the club head doing? Is the toe to the right of the shaft? Is the face open? Is the toe way to the left of the shaft? Is the face closed? Like, what is it doing? If anything, for me, having the toe point up is fine if you've got decent rotation, because if the toe's up here and I turn, well, now actually coming into impact, that face is dead square. right? I know a lot of people will advocate the face being slightly closed. And again, if you are somebody who has the open face, that's fine. So we just want to check, as we're coming down, what is that face doing? If toes up in the air like that, that's fine. If it's slightly closed, that's fine. Slightly open, you're probably going to struggle. Really open, you're really going to struggle. So for me, just trying to make sure the face is either square there, or it's slightly toed in like that. So then therefore, when we turn, if the toe is slightly turned in like that, and I turn, again, if anything, you get a bit more forward shaft lean. And it's not a bad thing. You see a lot of good ball strikers being in this position at impact. But yeah, open face on the way down, you will not be able to do this move. So another quick little drill I just want to add in there because I think it'd be really helpful for this idea and will help you improve as well. I think most amateurs should maybe add this into your repertoire of drills at the range anyway. And that's a little bit of a hip movement drill. Because like I said, once we get the hands down and we're kind of getting that head coming down behind us and we're sort of shallowing that shaft a little bit, from here we do want to now start to introduce a bit of rotation. We want to get the hips clearing as I feel like the club is just whipping around me on that arc. We do want to introduce a little bit of that, those hips clearing out the way, and the rotation of the chest and shoulders starts to move. Not too much, but it starts to move, a little bit of this. So for this, I like just a little half swing shot where the butt end of the club feels like it never leaves your belt buckle. So almost just go in to there, still feeling like it's pointing at my belt buckle. And then as we're coming through impact, I'm almost trying to tie the butt end of the club to my belt buckle. So it's almost like my hips, the club is just traveling around me as my hips just turn. So it's just turn. And as I feel like I finish, the club is still turn. Club is still pointing at my belt buckle. Hips are now cleared all the way through. And this will just get that sequencing of hip turn, hip going back and left, pulling the club around me. It's a really good little drill just to get that kind of synced up, because once we drop those hands to that level where it's almost at my belt buckle, we're going down and around. Down and around. It just gets those hips activating, because the reality is if you can get those two kind of synced up, hands coming down and then the hips starting to turn and clear, like that just gets in a really good impact position there, where the hips have started to go back. That introduces that forward shaft lean. My chest still feels like it's over the ball. My head still feels like it's over the ball. Down, hips. That's where we want to feel like we're going to be. So that is a really good one to add in as well. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Big takeaway from this, for me personally, hands low. Low hands, add turn. Low hands, add turn. Simple as that. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.